Hello and welcome to Tech Doctors, the podcast where we examine the latest technology news from a deeply engineering centric perspective. I'm Mike Ali, who, along with fellow tech doctorate Greg Barton and our MBA buddy Rob Haywood, thank you for joining our discussion. We will work hard to separate facts from opinion and hype from reality. We hope that you'll find our podcast informative and fun. So let's get started. This week, Greg is out, but we have a special guest to discuss how the AI job apocalypse may already be here, a related report from Brookings on AI taking jobs, and the man who AGI-pilled Google. So interesting thing about our format. I did text Greg. I'm not sure where he is, but the reason why I invited um, Derek is because, interestingly enough, when I was at reunions and was talking to Derek, of course he's an expert on AI and follows everything, but he's actually somewhere between me and Greg. But he's actually closer to Greg's position than my position. So basically, I was doing this to show what a great, follower of the skeptical reasoning process that I am. I actually go look for disconfirming evidence.
It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with the person. I need to give you a heads up, not to bias you, Derek, but Mike approaches every discussion as an argument.
Oh, you think I don't know that? You think I don't know?
Whether he agrees or disagrees, you could be saying the exact same thing, reading the transcript, and he'll be like, "No, I feel it." It's just like, these are your words, Mike, and I agree with you.
That's not true.
I told my wife exactly what you said, Rob, 20 minutes ago. Exactly what you said. So thank you for warning me.
And I'm sure your wife defended me.
Thank you for reminding me.
I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
Go get her. Go get her.
I'll plead the fifth on that. She's not available.
That's my girl. Don't mess with me. Don't mess with me.
How is the good doctor?
She's good.
Hey, I'm sorry. We no chit chat. Enough chit chat. Yes. So we got to get to the story at hand. So really, yes. The format, Derek, and thanks tons for joining us, is that basically, I sent out a couple of articles. Usually, if someone has an article, they would send it, and then we just start talking about it, right? And so as our guest, I sent two, right? One was on the recent graduates AI job apocalypse already here, and the other one was around the interview with the guy from Google who quote unquote AGI-pilled Google. So feel free to start wherever you'd like.
So give him a little bit more background and context to what the positions have been and the overall summary of where we kind of stand on the whole.
Hold on, bring up ChatGPT and ask it that question.
Jim and I would be.
No, you go. You go. It's you, Derek. You're the special guest. You have at it.
Well, I don't know if I'm special, but I am a guest. But I'll tell you this. I'm not an expert in AI, but I do have a computer science degree, and what that means to this current crop of students is absolutely nothing, because what I learned back in the '80s, they think is like that's the dark ages, right? So actually, I think my experience in my career kind of speaks to what's necessary for new grads, and that is continuous learning, right? There's nothing I learned back in the 80s that is really relevant today in terms of the challenges and problems that need to be solved. Yes, all that good fundamental theory that Princeton like to teach us is always useful. The theory is always a good grounding.
Did you take the Pascal class?
I took the Pascal class. Yeah,
we got Pascal.
Freshman year, I got Pascal, man. And before that, Fortran and Basic. And guess what? None of that matters, right? None of that stuff matters.
Absolutely.
But so the question, it seemed like the article is about, hey, well, is this AI already causing problems for new grads? Are they being hired, fewer of them being hired because of the AI? Is it slowing down, that hiring? What does this mean for them? I thought that was the gist of the question, right?
Right.
And I thought, well, gosh, I did some research. I think I sent you the article. I said, hey, look back over the last 100 years. And look at the technology adoption over the last 100 years. And how did that adoption displace and change people in the workforce? And the data I got back doesn't have to be all very precise, but it comes down like this, that, of course, every new technology displaces some workers, period, no question, right? No question. The whole point of technology is to make certain particular tasks more efficient for the people who need those tasks done. And I choose those words very carefully. It's for those people that need those tasks done. So they buy the technology to make those tasks cheaper or faster for them to accomplish. What has happened to the workers? I think that's the question. What happens with workers? When technology is adopted slowly, maybe they have time to change. Early, in the first part of the 100 years, technology took 30, 40 years to reach mass adoption. ChatGPT took 2 months to hit mass adoption. Now that we've got free distribution and instant distribution for digital whatever, right? And so, I look at that and say, hey, yeah, what's changed is the adoption curve is faster. That's what's different over the last 100 years. And this goes to what Kurzweil said, the singularity is near. He said, humans linearly, we like to think of change as linear. He said, but technological change is not linear, it's exponential. In other words, it keeps getting faster and faster and faster and faster, right? And so can humans adapt faster is a fundamental question. And then the question of the article gets to a very specific, point, which is it already affecting these new college grads?
Mm-hmm.
New college grads.
So I got a question, just to interrupt. I got a question. So everybody uses this label ChatGPT, but there's been similar technology that's been utilized under different labels, under different positioning or whatever. Even arguably, you can say even like Siri, where if something that facilitates search, that accumulates the information and provides kind of historical or available information, summaries, etc. Not necessarily going to the level or the degree that some of the AI that's out there that does, but some form or another, that type of technology has been available and growing. Now, to what extent does that or has that accelerated the adoption?
Accelerate the adoption. Can you say more about that question, Rob?
How has similar looking, smelling types of technology accelerated that adoption of ChatGPT and other types of AI tools and technologies?
I see. So I guess you can think of it. I mean, I think I understand your question. I reflected back to you, right? Which is, we seemed really ready to accept ChatGPT and Gemini and all these tech. We seemed like we were ready. We were primed.
Yes.
Right. That we were primed. And you're absolutely correct, right? From phone trees to Siri and, to trusting that we could talk to technology and maybe get a response. So yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. It definitely primed the pump. It got us used to it. But once you've experienced ChatGPT and oh my God, and Gemini and all of these, I'm just picking ChatGPT as one of many, right? Once you've talked on your phone, talked to it, had a dialogue with it, you see it's dramatically different than the thing before. Yes. Yep. So we were primed, but we also realized its limitations, right?
Yeah, because I'm of the mindset, as a marketer, a kind of behaviorist, it's difficult to change people's behavior. But I think over time, it has made us, all those other types of, earlier technologies have softened the posture and the acceptance of this type of technology. And then when the technology came, and it's like you said, it's leaps and bounds above everything else, that softening really helped to accelerate the adoption.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, you remember the early internet. We're all old enough to remember the very beginning, 93, 90.
Weren't you one of the first search guys?
Man, let's not talk about first anything. I'm still sitting in my house and it's not worth $100 million. So let's leave that alone. but you do remember when putting your credit card in, you had to type in every number, and you know now you got things like Stripe, and we just don't even think about it anymore. We transact business and pay for things. We let Amazon have our credit cards numbers. We get our credit card from Amazon, for Christ's sake. Through their right. They have a bank that they're associated with. Right? We trust these vendors, and we trust their technology, and that's been a long.
Therein for me lies the rub because one of the reasons why I picked this article is because I was actually having a debate with Greg about this, and whenever I see an article that makes my point for me, I always pick those because I love when I'm right.
Unbiasedly.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. I can find confirming evidence. Well, it's easy to find confirming evidence, even though you're looking for disconfirming evidence when you're right. It's just one of those things. But
Huh? I couldn't hear you. Hold up. What was
that? So here's the two points I would make is that I still am of the opinion that all this AGI stuff is overhyped and it's borderline fraud and charlatanism. And on the other hand, you got these early adopters now who are busy killing the goose that lays the golden eggs by not hiring entry-level people on the promise of this overhyped technology, which where are you going to get the experienced workers you need to work with the AI if you don't create training opportunities for the entry-level people, you knuckleheads? Okay? And that's what I got out of the article. And by the way, I like the guy. He had both anecdotal evidence, but also cited someone from Brookings. And Brookings is no joke. So there was a woman from Brookings, Molly Kinder, right, who studies the impact of AI on workers. And she's saying, quoted, right, employers are saying these tools are so good, I no longer need marketing analysts, finance analysts, and research assistants.
Touche. It's going to be hard for me to resist naming companies, but I'll just say this: there are companies that have CTOs and have sent out memos to their workforce saying, "Hey, we expect each and all of you to be using AI tools, and we expect to see productivity increases because of that." Right?
Here's a threat.
And it's a threat. As a threat, actually, they even skipped the carrot step. They completely skipped over.
Do you get anything for that? No. You get to keep your job.
Exactly. When my wife, the physician, brought home a laptop and said, "Oh, look, they gave me a laptop for," and I said, "Oh, you're screwed now." She thought they even gave her $5,000 in training and all. I said, "Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea, right? You have just accepted
the chain. We took the chains off, and you let them put it back on.
Put it on. You put it. Yeah, exactly.
I was GE Appliances. What was it late 90s when they gave us all Blackberries? We begged for them. We begged for the Blackberries. We begged to give our evenings and weekends away.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now they skipped that. They said, no, you must use this. Okay. Yeah. You must use it because one, we realized, oh my God, we can monitor you so much better if you are using these tools. Number two, not only can we monitor, we can start to assess your because of that, we can assess your productivity. And we can demand increases. And guess what? Full disclosure, I use AI tools at least 4 hours a day, every day.
That's wow.
At least.
But actually, I don't have a problem with actually the CTO saying, hey, I want you guys to be using the tools. I'm okay with. I'm worried of the people who are busy wholesale firing people and saying, okay, AI is going to now replace those heads.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's happening. I think you talked about things that are overblown. I think that's total BS. I think that is total BS. I actually, again, going back to, the research that I looked up before, the claim was that certain jobs disappear and new jobs appear, and potentially more of them.
Yes.
Right. And so, and that's all about our ability to adapt as humans, right? It's, how quickly can we adapt? If new college grads are being taught skills that are not useful, guess what? Our educational systems will have to adapt to teach them new skills that are useful. I mean, we have to adapt, you know.
Otherwise,
So what?
you don't go to school or to those universities that focus in areas that aren't marketable and don't have a ROI that's acceptable.
It's true. It's true. I mean, yeah, and there are a lot of those schools that are out there that are struggling with what is our new value proposition.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much: if this technology existed, I wouldn't have needed to go to high school except to learn how to deal with people, right? And arguably, I didn't learn that very well. But that's the thing that, I mean, the teaching element, you know, the self-teaching, the self-pacing, don't need any of it. There's nothing I need from a high school teacher teaching me, I think. And certainly, even if it's not true today, it could be true in very short order. So teaching, entire professions are going to be transformed.
I think also, though, you're also of the belief, because we talked about this at reunions, that a lot of jobs that people do out there don't require a lot of thought.
That is certainly true. And now you're getting to the part of the argument, part of the article that is missing. The part of the article is missing.
Okay, all right, go, Daddy, go.
If I look around in the tech, and I'll say this broadly, big tech. If I look in big tech companies, there are a lot of people that were not born in the U.S. sitting in those offices. And this is not an anti-immigrant diatribe. I'm not about to blast immigrants. What I'm saying is, in this country, we are not training people to take those jobs even before AI. And so the whole premise, the concern about new college grads, meaning new U.S. college grads losing out, I think is way bigger than that. It's not that this current crop of college grads losing out. That's a huge sector of our society that's not participating at all, even today. And it's, guess what? It's our part.
Yeah, but if you look at the trends, it won't matter. There won't be any competition for that because they won't let foreign-born students to go to our universities.
Well, that's the worst part, right? We won't have the foreign students, and we won't have our people who want to do it, and then we're done because then we got nobody doing anything.
I actually completely agree with you. Mike, I'm going to go on record. This one time, I 100% agree with you.
I was going to say,
but he's going to argue against that.
Actually, I would like to say that we sort of have a thing in this group that everyone does agree with me. You should just be aware of that.
Oh, okay, good. Well, then I'm glad to be part of the group.
That's
sign me up.
You know Greg Martin, you know Rob. I mean, they worship me. It's just a thing.
Yeah, I've been hearing that for years. It's just like some other Rob or Greg, but I do worry about. I do worry what you said.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do too.
You know, the treatment of Harvard, which I think is despicable because it if it could be any university or all universities, right? But stopping the flow of talent in the States is going to disrupt the ability of the United States to compete globally.
And money.
Exactly.
Those international students pay full freight.
They pay. Yeah, but to me, I agree with 100%. 100%. The money. Yeah, the 30% of the students at Harvard pay full freight. They actually subsidize the Americans to study, right? Yeah, no question. But when I look at the names on the papers in AI, I guarantee you, John Smith, Rob Haywood, Mike Ali, Derek Burns, you won't find names similar to those on the vast majority of those papers. A lot of foreign students that have come to the U.S. to study. Maybe they're first generation Americans. That could be true too. I'm not trying to throw shade there on that. But what I'm trying to say is, if we don't provide access to the brain, they will go.
We've seen this play out at a lower level, a less skilled level with migrant workers.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So you get rid of the employment base, and then you avail it to people who aren't interested and don't want to step in. Then what do? You have to
Yeah.
go back.
I got to remember, yeah, years ago when this all started, I remember there was an article about crab pickers, right? These people that basically pull the meat out of the crab and put it into cans so it could be sold in the stores. And you know how tough it is to get meat out of a crab. Okay, I'm from Maryland. And they were the crab picking companies, they were crying. I have to go back and check and see what happened to them. Somehow they've managed to muddle through. I don't know what they did. They may have just said, look, we just make less of it and we charge more for it now because we don't have enough crab pickers. But they said, we've tried recruiting for that job, right? USA, USA. People say, I don't want to pick no damn.
It appears to be this cyclical argument, like in California and anywhere where they have the migrant workers and everything else, and you have these ebbs and flows in terms of migration and strengthening of the availability of legal workers, and then in the end, people always turn a blind eye because we need this stuff out of the ground or it's going to rot, and it helps with our commerce and our economy.
Yeah. But now things are different now, Rob, and I agree with 100% what you said, by the way. It has happened many times. I completely agree with that. But I think we may be at a turning point because inequality in the US, as measured by the Gini coefficient, is through the roof.
The what? The what coefficient?
Gini, Gini, Gini coefficient. It measures basically the ratio of wealth held by the rich to the poor.
Got you. Yeah, right. Okay. The how far apart are the two ends of
It
the?
is so out of whack now.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's the people in that top category, the rich.
Yeah, yeah.
That what do? They employ the technologies that give them the greater efficiencies to extract greater profits.
Right.
They're the ones that benefit from this stuff. Let's keep that really clear. They're the ones that benefit, right? It's not those students that are coming out of college that these articles are talking that they're worried about. That's bullshit, right? The beneficiaries are those tech capitalists. They're the ones, and it's a truism. You look at the growth of the market cap of the top 10 companies right now. How many are tech? 6 of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're the ones that are benefiting from this,
and they're the ones who benefit from overhyping these technologies as well as whatever benefit they can get from I forget the term for it, the singularity or even the AGI-pilling of America. Maybe that might be better.
I want to come back to that and get Derek's perspective on that. But let's continue.
Wait. You don't want my perspective on it?
I want to hear his, but let's
wait.
Not to interrupt what we were discussing.
Wait, what about my perspective? Don't you want my perspective?
Let me ask my wife. Oh no.
All right, you go ahead then.
No, see, I do worry about that. Mike, you come back. Don't cry, Mike. We want you. We value Mike. Mike, you're our leader.
Thank you. There you go.
You're our leader. Thank you, Mike. But I do, Rob, my point, I was making the point that I think things may be getting to that tipping point. I think the election of the current, administration is a clear example that people aren't happy. You can argue about whether they did right or wrong in voting for this clown, but they're not happy. We can all agree. They're not happy, right?
They're looking for love in all the wrong places, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, and it's the power that's accumulated to the rich is only going to increase with this tech. By the way, it's only going to increase. And the reason I actually think this current administration will be thrown out is because if he keeps up this policy of not letting in immigrants, guess what? The rich aren't going to be happy, and he's got to it's got to change. So that policy is going to change, or he's going to change. Because it's all about,
Well, what he wants. Yeah, but what he'll do is he'll start issuing special exceptions for the people that, And
he already is.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely. Right. I mean, well, here, President Trump, here's your 20% of open AI so that now I can get my visas through. I mean, it's straight up great.
It's all transactional.
It's purely transactional. It's narcissism, right? At its very worst, right? He's like, hey, I want everybody to kiss the ring. It's the Godfather, right? You kiss the ring, you'll get the benefits now, and make sure that somebody in my close-knit family will benefit, and we're good to go. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we're headed. And I guess, it's interesting because it does go to this point, and then I think we should switch over to the other article. This idea that if the future of this, if we have to go down this AGI path, and it's all driven by how many NVIDIA chips you can, power, right? Then yeah, it is going to go to the capitalists, right? I mean, there's no choice, right? Because they've already said you got to take like what is it? The power needs of America have to be like almost doubled, right? For all
Way
the
more than that. Way more
yeah,
than
it's
yeah.
ridiculous. So the power will accrue to those that have the money, right, and to build. And to your point, right, it's a government thing, right? It's going to be the only way you're going to be getting loans, grants, whatever you can, right, for the money, and that's where the big fight's going to be.
That,
So now I personally believe that again, since this is all overhyped and it's all going to sputter out anyway, that the money will just get wasted, and there will be other options and opportunities where they're going to realize very quickly that AGI doesn't scale with billions of dollars of investment in NVIDIA chips. That's going to be the thing that kills them.
yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about whether AGI is real or not, because
Well, let's
Frank,
get there. That brings us to Mr. Google,
all right.
the man who says it is. Now, here's my take because I like what he gives some really good definitions. Now, I will say this: he's clearly for AGI. He set a date right of just after 2030. We'll get there, which in my mind is still ridiculous. But and he does a pretty good of shilling the story. But in the middle of this, I forgot this one piece where he said, "What the challenge is what do you bet on right now that could be 100% better in a year?" Because he says you need fairly deeply technical sort of product people in order to intercept where the technology may be in a year. So there's things it can't do today when it's not a product that's going to come out in a year. So you got to have pretty deep understanding of the tech and where it might go and work out the features that you can rely on. Now, this man just basically admitted that he needs smart, creative people. He didn't say, come 2030, I'm going to be able to feed this problem into my AGI and it'll tell me where to invest to make a great product. I found that mind blowing, and to me, it was a defense of the thinking human being not being at risk from this technology. I know.
Mm.
Derek is nodding. Yes, Mike, you nailed it, brother. Come on, Rob, give me some love.
I defer to Derek.
You know what? You know what? When I edit this show, you know this is just going to be me and Derek talking. You know, right?
Come on now, come on. I, you know, that article. Let's put it this way: a year ago, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I remember two things when GPT-3 came out. So, and I'm playing with it online. I'm going, and I was playing with it. I said, "Hey, write a poem, to my friend who's having a birthday today, and include these 6 elements." And it wrote a poem. I don't say beautiful. It wrote a poem. I thought that was amazing because I'm finally communicating with a computer like I communicate with you with words, unstructured. I haven't thought it through. Just like we're doing. Just shit comes out, right? I thought that was amazing, right? And as a computer scientist, guess what? It was amazing. It was amazing. So that blew me away. Then a month later, or 2 months later, OpenAI produced a paper. It was about a 75-page paper on GPT-4, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on a plane, and I'm sitting on the plane, and I'm reading this thing, and I started to shake. I was like, "Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh my God, this is the biggest thing since I don't know. It's bigger than the phone. It's bigger than the internet. It's bigger than anything in my career. This is amazing, right?" And I said, "Hey, in a year there'll be a little more lawyers and all." I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I could just."
you were like, "Oh, okay, I'm with you." All right.
And I called our buddy Maynard, actually, Maynard Holiday. Now just fresh out of the Biden administration in the Pentagon, really high up. It's head of all research investments for the
I don't
Pentagon.
think you can mention his name. I mean, it's top secret. I mean, he's got clearances and
He's
whatnot.
pretty far up there.
Yeah, I don't. You may have to refer to him by his code name, Snow Bunny.
Yeah, he's pretty badass, and we know him off. Well, I know him from Stanford and whatnot. He was my college grad school roommate. So, my boy, and I called my boy and I said, yo, Maynard, what do you think of this? And he's very quickly, his people were already on top of it. He said two things. He said, number one, we don't trust this to make decisions for us in the military. We have a very simple rule that humans have to be in the loop for certain military decisions. They have to be in the loop, full stop. I said, okay, that's cool. I'm comforted, I think. If it's the right human, I think that's good. Right? He said, so, and then he told me something that I'm still.
Sorry, that human is Pete Hegseth.
Maybe I do want an AI. I might want an AI. Then he told me another thing. He said, Derek, and maybe it wasn't that call, maybe it was the next call. He said, listen, he said, the human brain, human body operates on 30 watts. Now, you and I were growing up, we had an incandescent light bulb, right? That's for those of you who don't know, that it was shaped like this, and it had a little thing with it kind of burned inside and it got hot. And it gave off heat, right? That heat was waste, right? Heat, and we screwed it in and it lasted maybe a year, and you go get another one, screw it in there, throw it out. 60 watts to give a kind of a warm glow to a room. Not enough maybe to read a book unless you were like right under it, but 60 watts. The human body, 30, half of that, half of one bulb. He said the AIs that exist now take 10 to the 8 times as much power. Now, what does that even mean? That's like, if a million is 10 to the 6, that's 100 million times as much power. So let's see, 100 million times anything you can think of is way more than you can imagine, right? 100 million times how much money you have is way more than you can possibly imagine.
I think it's whole bunches.
Whole bunches. Like, and he said, Derek, he said, we got a long way to go. Long way to go.
Yeah, 100 million times more power to not be at the level of a human brain yet.
Well, no, hold on. But I knew you were gonna say that, but I was gonna set a trap for you, but you already just dove right in there when you put your head in, you put your foot in. Remember the TI-30? What was the TI-30? Rob, you remember the TI-30? What was that?
The Texas Instruments
calculator, exactly. That bad boy could do 8-digit multiplication faster than you and I could. It operated on, what was it? It might have been a 9-volt battery, maybe a couple, right? A slide rule. Oh God, here we go. Put the slide rule down.
I knew the TI-30. I had one.
You're the only one who knows how to use that. Rob and I know how to use that thing.
Yeah.
But it's got something to do with logarithms. We know that. We just don't know what it is. But he said, 10 to the 8 times more power. Well, that calculator took, close, not quite as much as a human brain, and it could do that one function way better than we could. That one little thing, way better. Well, what just happened is with this AI, we have found very expensive ways to do lots of things better, but it's still not expansive enough to do what a human can do. And it'll be a long time, far past our lifetimes, I believe, before it gets to the level of efficiency of a human brain.
No.
It may be.
Some would argue that it does as well at the entry level.
Yeah.
And this is a debate and a discussion that we were having, even as something as mundane as marketing. They always kind of refer, all you engineer types refer to marketing as the arts kind of touchy, touchy. I was even advocating.
Marketing is just about where you're going to take your client to lunch, really, isn't it?
Exactly, Mike. That's exactly what it is. But I was advocating that, where AI is now, it can do a lot of stuff that the entry-level people would do now, and they were at risk. And finally, somebody kind of supported that. But one of the things I still want to come back to is this requirement that hype is needed in order to advance technology.
That's Greg's
Ooh.
point. Greg's point, not mine. And you went along with Greg, but please continue.
And I went along because I think hype fuels interest, it fuels eyeballs, it fuels wallets, investors, stock purchasers, which fuel the research and everything else. And you know that hype cycle is what generates, I would say, a lot of the research and findings. But
I don't agree with him.
Mike would argue that you don't need hype
I
and should not be any hype, only truth, fact, and no fiction associated with technology.
I did not say that. What I said was the hype.
Well, before you say anything, we agree, right?
No, no. You just strawmanned my argument. How dare you? I used Theranos as an example of hype gone wild and saying people got hurt by that company.
Oh,
People are
fraud.
getting hurt by Tesla today.
Yeah, that's not hype. That's fraud. That was out now.
Okay, whatever. Tesla is people are getting hurt today with Tesla because they're oversold full self-driving. When
Yeah.
technology gets hyped like this, people actually get hurt. So when we say, "Oh, it's okay," I'd like to think that basically I'm on the untouchable moral high ground because I'm saying not one human life is worth the
Ooh.
hype.
Ooh.
And I would agree with you, Mike. But
Really?
you know, you've got to talk about degrees of hype. And when
Yeah,
you can
I
sell a
do.
future, that's one thing. But when you deceive, when you sell a future and it's not a distant future or not a realistic future, that's where that risk comes in.
Right, and I believe AGI has crossed that line. Most of the people selling AGI have crossed that line. Sam Altman is the easiest target. He clearly has crossed the line. The rest of them are degrees of closeness. Don't
Yeah.
disagree with me on my podcast. No.
I'm not going to disagree with you, but
No, 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 no. Go ahead, please. Have
no,
at it.
no, but I want to, hey, I'm pretty sure we all took a little finance at some point in our careers,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
right? And in finance, you never talk about one particular investment. You talk about alternatives, A or B, A or
Okay.
B or C. It's
Okay.
never talking
Opportunity cost.
right. So
Okay.
so with that mindset, what is the overhyping of AGI costing? What's the alternative to that? What's the you
There
know
are billions of dollars of investment that could be going a lot of other places. There must be. There are so many other ideas that are out there where it could go. My favorite would be robotics, but I could think of others if you press me. Anything in biotech. I don't think you can put too much money in biotech. Go after Alzheimer's. Go after mental degradation. We went
You
actually
don't
at
you don't
reunion.
think
I
there's
went
hype in you don't think there's hype in biotech?
Okay, but not there's not hype in some areas. To your point, avoid the hypey areas. But like, it was a great panel. Love these panels whenever you go to alumni faculty forums. And this guy said, if you just do the demographics, by the time we hit, call it 2050, just because people are living longer, but because we don't really understand mental health, we're going to have more people that have mental health problems by 2050 than we can afford to take care of. It's just math. He said, and the only way out of it is research. He said, between now and then, we have to start coming up with answers, cures, medicines, protocols that stop people's mental degradation, right? And they talk about all, the two types of there's Alzheimer's, but then there's also the other type of mental deficiency that you get with age. And he said that's the only way out is investment. And guess what's happening to the investment right now today? It's getting cut. It's going the opposite of what it needs to do. So if you say to me, where could that money go? Because frankly, the money they're spending, oh, Mike, that money's not long-term R&D money. That money's for near-term stuff. Like that money's being flushed down the toilet because AGI is overhyped. That money's getting wasted. And like Derek, the way venture capitalists work, right? They're funding about 30, 40 companies knowing that five are going to be the winners. And they all think they're going to be the winner. right? That's where some of the waste comes in with this venture capital ecosystem.
Well,
Yeah.
how much of the investment is actually venture capital specifically?
Right now, I think it all is right, Derek. I mean, who's investing in these companies, right? It's all
It's
VC.
not just venture. No, it's actually not. It's actually not just venture. Venture, and so I don't have the numbers. Let's start off there.
Yeah.
Let's start off there. But we can say for sure, is that for the companies developing foundational models, the expense is extraordinary,
Hmm.
measured in tens of billions, if not more, right? And so those are funded from the profits from other parts of the tech business. So Microsoft, Microsoft is what bootstrapped OpenAI,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah,
gave them the money,
yeah. So,
right?
some of it is private equity coming from the big tech players to rob, not the VCs, not the Kleiner Perkins and those guys or whatever, but true, the Microsofts, the Amazons,
Yeah.
those, right? Okay, I'm
And,
with
and then you have to look at there are some people who invest in
Facebook.
tech that really limit the segments that they invest in. So, when you talk about an opportunity cost, it's not always as great as you think. And I wouldn't want to overstate, the risk associated with other what you might term as more valuable investments away from hyped technology as being, being penalized.
Yeah. Again, I'm a little concerned about our perspective being too narrow, right? And so, you know, earlier I mentioned the other segments of our society that are just not at the table. It's like, we talked about, new grads losing their opportunity because of AI. And I'm saying, yeah, those new grads are gonna be fine, but there are a whole bunch of other people that are not, not even part of that equation, right? And so Mike, I think I liked your biotech thing. If we can solve some health problems for humanity,
Mhm.
let's go for it, right? I'm not so keen on your robotics example, right? Do we need self-driving cars?
Self-serving.
Do we need a robot to replace the 15 people in the Amazon warehouse?
They've already done it.
How
Already
about a
over.
robot that
It's
can
over.
carve marble?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
over. It's over, right? Amazon knows, right? I mean, they stopped immediately. They're like, look, the way it works now, the robots get the product and bring it back to the people. They realize immediately that, right, the other way around didn't make any sense. So
exactly.
yeah, it's happened. But to be fair, those are awful jobs. They're awful. Amazon warehouses are off. They're terrible, terrible jobs. I worked for a company, right? We used to lose people. They would go to work for Amazon for an extra buck an hour, buck and a quarter an hour, and they would come back in a month going, "Oh my God," to come back and work on the line back at our manufacturing company. They're awful jobs.
Okay, what about self-driving cars? Do we need robo-taxis?
So if we could look, if we could actually have Rosie the robot and actually have a robo taxi like the ones you saw in Total Recall and all those movies, right? Yeah, the Johnny Cab and all. Remember Johnny Cab, Total Recall? I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, man, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? But you can't have them. They don't exist. They'll never exist because you need a human being, right, to really do driving. But if you could do it, absolutely. What could it, look? Elon Musk is a genius the way he sold that vision. He said you buy a Tesla and you can hire it out as a taxi cab when you're not using it. Holy crap! That would be awesome, right? If I could actually do that, but it can't be done.
Yeah, but even if it could be done, at what cost? Once again, this is your argument, not mine. This is
Well,
actually
so
your argument.
here's where the benefit would come. Immediately, you would need fewer cars because now, right, you can get a car whenever you need one, so you don't need to even own one. The number of cars would go way down if you did it right. So that's what I'm saying. There's benefits there to be had in that vision of the future.
I think his that one example, that height is not that crazy, but the time period that he sold that it would be available.
Was crazy.
is not accurate.
Right. Well,
Some would even argue manipulating the market.
oh my God, don't get me started on Elon Musk.
You talking about Elon Musk and Tesla self-driving? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I bought a Model 3 in 2018, and it was self-driving was beta, and you could buy it for $4,000. And I said, you know what? Hell no, number one, because I know that this technology is going to take a heck of a long time to get right. You know, I'm not being a beta tester for their software. And guess
Right.
what? It's 7 years later, and it's still in that same state, relatively speaking, in terms of its safety.
When
And
Mike
just do the
first
beta
heard
testing.
self, when Mike first
That's
heard self-driving, you would think that someone lit his hair on fire. Not gonna happen. This is before anything, before any advances, any papers. Not gonna happen. And it's just like, okay, okay, Mike. And this bug has been up his pants for since then.
I was so right. I was what Derek said. And the sad part is there are people that bought into it though that
Sure.
got hurt. They got hurt because
Yes.
don't get me, please don't get me. Well, that would be a whole separate rant.
Because people believed his hype. They believed his hype. He's
So,
one of the best industrial salespersons of our generation, if not the best.
I like to
so
think that he's the Tony Stark of America, and Tony Stark is a fictional cartoon character.
quick question. I know that there are people watching what's going on with what's the cabs, the self-driving cabs. What are
Oh,
they?
the road.
Waymo.
Waymo. So we were driving down the street the other day, and a Waymo speeds off from the light barely changes green, speeds off to jump in front of a bus and short the bus to make a right-hand turn. I'm like, so I told Carmel, I was like, maybe somebody is taking over that remotely, but there wasn't a person in the car. So
Right.
how well can they take over those cars? I mean, is it like a drone type of?
We don't know because they're not required to tell us. Okay. The way the levels of control work, it could be anywhere from there's actually a little steering wheel and a little pedal back at base, not likely, but could be, all the way to they're just putting dots on a screen and the car is following the dots. And you don't know. And you don't know what the ratio is. You don't know if it's one of those remote operators per 10 cars, 20 cars, 100 cars. If they get notified, does the car tell them when they're in trouble, or are they task switching across 10 monitors? There's
we
information that we should be being told as
Right.
consumers, pedestrians, about how these things are actually working, that
we
they're
were blown away. We were
And,
blown away. We were like, "Did you see that?" So then we tried to catch up, and there was no one in the front seat. And I was just like, that is incredible. It's just like you're in a hurry for a meeting and you pull up to the light and okay, I'm gonna go over 2 lanes and I'll do a whole shot. It did that. It did that. I was
that's
like, oh my
incredible.
gosh.
yeah. Well, now
Yeah,
just remember, Elon says he can do that kind of maneuver with far fewer sensors.
sure. And
And
yeah, our cheaper sensors too. No lidar,
yep,
no
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 lidar, just a
just
couple of cameras, no ultrasonics. I got this. I'm Elon Musk.
yeah. Apparently those Waymos cost what is it, 200,000, I think.
I heard 250. I'm with you. They're in that range, right? Quarter mil easy. Because LiDAR is expensive. The LiDAR alone is still like 100, call it 80 grand, give or take, right? So
So the other experience we had with those Waymos was we pull up to the light and there's probably about 10 feet in front. The Waymo stops about 10 feet from the car in front of it. So I pull alongside to get a closer look at the Waymo and everything else. Then it pulls up like, don't stare at me. And I'm like looking at it,
no
and then
look.
if I
Yeah, you
pull up a little bit more, and then it pulls up. I'm like, there's some guys probably like, hey, stop it. Another instance where we really
that's
question,
Rob Haywood. Don't you know?
we really question who's behind, that curtain.
Yeah, right. That's true. Hey, man, shit. Those Waymos are good. I mean, if you've been in San Francisco, they're all over. They're all over San Francisco.
Have you ridden in one?
I have. I
Yeah.
have.
What was
I
your
felt safe.
experience?
I felt safe. I actually thought it was driving. Unlike Rob's story, I felt like this one was driving very conservatively.
Yep, they do. Normally they do. We have never seen anything to the contrary except for that one occasion. And we were
Yeah.
like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
You know, we just assumed that somebody took over someplace back in the base and needed to hurry up and
I
get
mean,
it back.
was there a
It
passenger?
exploded or
Was there
something.
a passenger in the car?
No, we couldn't see a
Can't
passenger.
tell.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dark. It's the
Yeah.
windows are tinted. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
look, they're expanding into other cities now where they got to start dealing with real weather. So I'm interested to see how this goes, right? I mean, I know they're being very picky about where they are. Of course, you got Elon Musk who's about to literally start killing people. And I think Austin, somewhere in Texas, he's going all in. He's pushing his team as usual to go really fast and hard and to do it. And everybody's saying they're not ready, they're not ready, not ready. He's busy posting, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready. So it's going to be everybody's predicting a disaster. But
Mhm.
outside of that, you got Waymo that's claiming they can go now. They've got a scalable business model. They can go city by city. They've got this nailed, and I'm like, not buying it.
What has anybody talked about their financials? I mean, if this thing costs 250, that's a lot of rides they need to break even.
Yeah, but they can run them 24 hours a day.
They're Jaguars.
Yeah, how much do you charge a ride? $5,000.
Yeah, before you need the maintenance. They couldn't have picked like a Toyota or a Ford Explorer, something that had a little bit more history of, dependability.
I think first of all, you need something to hold all the goddamn batteries. That's the
Right.
first thing you got to do because
Yeah, pick an
LiDARs suck
SUV.
energy, right? I know LiDARs suck. I know they do.
Maybe they should have used Range Rover then, huh, Mike? You think of
Ooh,
the
ooh.
battery capacity
Yeah,
to
that would have been,
carry.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but maybe your reliability kind of goes down a little bit there.
Well,
And I think Range Rover and Jag, and I mean this
they're
is
made in the same plant now.
anecdotal, but they've got to
Well,
be.
They're both pretty down. Yeah, they're not on the top of the list of reliable
yeah,
cars.
and it's the same. They're sharing parts. I mean, they're made in the same plant. I think it's Hillwood. Anyway, so look, wow, Derek, this has been awesome. It's 9 o'clock. And this has been a wonderful discussion. I will save it, right? And then I'll edit it a little bit. Like I said, just
Right.
remove certain unwanted elements from most of the video and audio.
Usually,
Then
it's just Mike talking to himself in the corrected versions.